It's all right, folks. So we're going to end with a bit of a sequel segment to one that we covered on our last show. So to catch you up, folks, we did a more thorough piece on the Rashida Tlaib smears, where she was said to have made an anti-Semitic remark about the Michigan Attorney General because she cracked down on pro-Palestine campus protesters more than she did on, say, BLM or Extinction Rebellion protesters. She said nothing of the sort. It was a complete fabrication, as we will rehash briefly here, where we see the original segment where Dana Bash tosses to Jake Tapper, making this drive-by lie about Rashida
To a
Tlaib.
sad reality, and now to a sad reality, and that is anti-Semitism is everywhere, and it comes from both ends of the political spectrum. But politicians sometimes sidestep calling it out when it comes from a member of their own party. We saw two examples on State of the Union yesterday. First, with Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, when my co-anchor Jake Tapper asked about a Democratic Congresswoman's accusation that the state's Jewish Attorney General was letting her religion influence her job.
Do you think that Tlaib's suggestion that Nessel's office is biased was anti-Semitic?
Okay, so that pretty much catches you up. She made no such suggestion whatsoever. And they were called out about that by enough people to the point where now Dana Bash tweets out a clarification on this story we brought you yesterday. Not a retraction, not a correction, not an apology, a clarification. So let's hear what this clarification is.
On a story we brought you, clarification on a story we brought you yesterday concerning Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib's comments attacking a decision by Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel to bring charges against pro-Palestinian protesters at the University of Michigan. Tlaib accused Nessel of, quote, biases. Here's Tlaib's full quote to the Detroit Metro Times. It seems that the Attorney General decided if the issue was Palestine, she was going to treat it differently. And that alone speaks volumes about possible biases within the agency she runs. Now, Tlaib did not reference Nessel's Jewish identity. Her office has not responded to our request for clarity. Her allies insist that's not what she meant. But Nessel still says she believes it is anti-Semitic and repeated on CNN yesterday that, quote, clearly she's referencing my religion.
Some clarification. We're going to show you the quote where there is absolutely no reference. Not only is there no reference to Nessel's religion, there's not even really much reference to Nessel herself. Tlaib doesn't even say Nessel's biases are exposed. She says it speaks volumes about possible biases within the agency she runs. She's not even talking, she's not even calling her out personally in a very direct way. She's saying this reflects biases within the agency. So they put the quote on the screen showing that no good faith interpretation of that is that she meant because she's Jewish, she's cracking down on pro-Palestine protesters. But then Dana Bash, despite 30 seconds ago saying we have a clarification issue, doubles down and say, hey, Nessel maintains that this was an anti-Semitic comment. So then why issue the clarification at all? It sounds like you're drawing the same conclusion. I mean, why even go out of your way to issue that quote-unquote clarification? It's not a clarification at all. You just repeated the original lie and gave that the final word. I mean, and then these people will sit around crying that the public doesn't trust them anymore. Oh, we were demonized as the media. Oh, there's misinformation, blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's the purpose of a fall retraction like that. They want to have it both ways.
Exactly.
They want to be able to tell their viewers, no, see, we call balls and strikes.
Right.
And we issued a clarification while at the same time reinforcing the message within the so-called clarification. Nick did a tweet that got around of a picture of Dana Bash saying, Zionists will look at you with a straight face and tell you this person is indigenous to the Middle East.
Right.
The whole thing is just so absurd. And the idea that she's if CNN were a real news network, she wouldn't be allowed to cover these stories. She would just be completely taken off the Israel Zionism beat because she so clearly has a dog in the fight.
Right. Yeah, no, and look, as a quote unquote reputable news agency, don't you have some responsibility to call out what is obviously a bad faith criticism of anti-Semitism? Like, don't you have a responsibility to say, hey, Nessel maintains it was anti-Semitic, but as we just showed you, they put the actual quote on the screen, which they didn't do the first time, which is, that's what Kyle did with the Marianne thing. Oh, we're going to describe this thing that was said without showing you. That should be a red flag. Now they actually put the quote on the screen and then say, despite the fact that we just showed you, there's no hint of anti-Semitism here, the AG still thinks it was anti-Semitic, and that's all the time we have today.
Yeah.
That was our clarification. See you tomorrow. I mean, just unbelievable.
Well, and also just showing that paragraph, because in the previous paragraph, she really lays out the case, naming other campus protests that did not bring any kind of an indictment.
Exactly.
Please clap.